up? What up? What up? It's RJ Fantasy Football Talk. You know what it is. We back again. Hey, Rodney J, new week. What's going on?
Ain't not much, but I hear you listening to the show. I was actually I thought that was me at first, but
Nah, I
but
got
yeah,
it playing in the background.
it's been a good week. It's been a good week. Hey, NFL preseason is in full effect, and so we saw some good games. I'm excited to talk about a few of the things that we saw, and we also got the top 10 we're gonna be showing throughout the night. Uh, what's up with you? What's going on?
Hey man, another week, man. I had a good draft last week. Just get prepared for this one this week coming up. This is gonna be some busy weeks, so just get prepared for these drafts, man.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot. The biggest news of the week. We had our first draft. We had the dynasty draft. So we told y'all that we were starting a new dynasty league. So thanks to everybody that participated in that one. We got 12 good teams. Looks like.
Yeah.
So we gonna see, and hopefully, either R or the J will come out on the top of that one. What you think?
I think we will, man. You know, two good, great veterans over here. We know what we're looking at, so I think we are
Should
over
be.
here, man.
Either way,
Definitely.
it should be a lot of fun. I'm gonna go ahead and unveil. We'll talk about it. I'm sure a little bit later. But let y'all see this top 10. Give y'all some time. It'll be scrolling through for most of the shows. If y'all want to write these down for y'all that have your drafts coming up. So, um,
Definitely.
want to do some news?
Got some news. So let's start off. Uh a little fancy news gotta pay attention to. Kenny Walker. He got a hernia. He had hernia
Right.
surgery. So you gotta kind of see what's going on. They say he's gonna be ready for week one. But I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So what direction do you go if you was looking at him as far as, you know, drafted him? Do you draft him and stash him till he get right, or do you just directly go away from him?
It's something in the Seattle water because they can't keep a healthy running back. Because Chris Carson, his injury, he's retired now, but he had all those injury things. Rashad Penny has been hurt his whole career. Now a groin injury for Kenny Walker the third. I was big on Kenny Walker because I was like, okay, he's gonna definitely get that job because Rashad Penny, like I said, doesn't stay healthy. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure whether that's true. It's like it might just be a problem. I think you still draft him. I don't think groin injuries can linger, but
Yeah.
it didn't seem like they're really making a huge deal out of this one right now. So I still my plan would be to still target him for a redraft in the real later rounds, and stash him for later in the year
No.
because he probably won't be doing much out the gate anyway. That team's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are going to be awful. So he has limited value as it is as
Okay.
a player. He's more for me of a dynasty prospect, and on that one, I don't care at all because I draft him right where I would because one injury doesn't make a whole lot of difference for a dynasty perspective.
So are you going now? Are you for me? I'm going Rashad Penny at the moment.
Yeah,
Even with the injury, I was going Rashad Penny just based off what the way he finished last year.
yeah, he
So
finished strong.
he finished strong last year. So I think they will give him the opportunity to take that role first before anybody else.
Yeah,
So that's why I would go. But you still draft him, especially in Dynasty League, because of the fact that he's going to be the guy
long.
for the next
Yeah,
5 years for them. So you just got to think about it that way. Then we got some good news on the defensive side. Darian James signed a new deal, 76.4 million with
yep.
42 million guarantee. He becomes the highest paid safety in the NFL, which is probably going to be elite next year. So, but he got paid.
Derwin James got a lot of paid, but he's not even the highest paid James for the day. Your boy LeBron
Why do you
James
have to
coming
bring that
in with a
up?
2 year, $97.1 million extension. That's $532 million guaranteed dollars in his pocket for his career, which puts him ahead of all other NBA players. So good for all those in the James family, related or not.
He's still 4-6, so it don't matter. So I don't care what none of that means. He's still 4-6
Hey, four or
when it
six
matters.
with like half a billion in the bank, so I ain't
He's right
mad at
about
him.
that. I ain't mad at him. He can have it all.
We got people joining in, so welcome, Orlando's welcome, Nita Bracy family in the show. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all.
So,
What else
but
you got?
that's good news for him. Drew Lock, he had COVID.
Yeah,
I don't think that's gonna hurt anything now. The way they running it is like 5 days
yeah.
and you back. I know Kirk Cousins had it last week and he was
Mm-hmm.
back at practice. So I don't know if that affects anybody in like as far as in the regular season, unless you catch it like on a Thursday or something.
Right. So
But other than that, if you do it on a Monday, I don't think you affect because they probably gonna have you do like they did last year, two COVID tests to
yeah,
make sure you're
to get
negative,
it back.
and then go from there. So I don't think that
So
does anything.
not really a big deal. I think, especially at this
No,
point in the preseason, because people are barely playing them. At most, maybe it gives Geno Smith an opportunity to jump up in that pecking order. But for real, is fantasy wise, I'm not for Geno Smith or Drew
yeah.
Lock. So, eh.
And I got one. Well, I got one thing. I know you got some stuff.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson had a successful surgery. They say he's out 2 to 4 weeks. He's probably not going to start week one,
yeah.
which that was obvious. Now I have a question for you. Um, is it does the will you draft anybody from the Jets anyway? First of all, that's the first question. And the second
All
question,
right.
if you were, who would it be, being that he's injured now?
Well, I guess the first question on your list of
I'm not
I
hating.
see you're hating on LeBron. He got
I
Kizash.
I just that wasn't news for me. I mean,
It's not football.
it's not football. So
But it's paychecks. But back to your actual question. For the Jets, I guess the question is, do I want Mike White or Joe Flacco now? And the question on that is definitely no. And then for the actual talented players, I like Brees Hall for dynasty purposes. We talked about him before. I think
hmm
people are making a bigger deal out of what impact he's going to have this year, because it's not like Michael Carter was trash last year.
yeah,
So I think that's at best a shared backfield. But I would still draft Brees Hall for the future. I think there's definitely talent there, and they've been doing a good job of getting some wide receivers together. You have Wilson, the rookie, and then you have Elijah Moore, who also was pretty good last year. Um, I wouldn't mind drafting them, but they're all players with low expectations for me. So we, like I said, we had that dynasty draft this past weekend, and I have zero Jets players, and that's probably going to be a trend throughout the rest of this draft season. I'm not that excited about Jets players.
yeah. I mean, me either. So I'm not. I I, I was just asking because I'm not big
Yeah,
on Zach Wilson to be honest with you. He's not on my radar. He wasn't on my radar. Um,
yeah,
Injury won't go make a difference. I'm not even a
not at all.
big Brees Hall fan to be honest with you
Yeah,
because I think they overhyping Brees Hall a little bit for me.
mm-hmm.
But I Michael Carter was good last year. You can't just throw him on a bench and say, you know what, we're not going to run you anymore because
Right,
we got Brees Hall. No, I'm not doing that. That's just nah. I'm not.
right.
I'm not high on none of them. To be honest with you.
Yeah, like I said, if I'm gonna be high on anybody, it'd be only Brees Hall or a Gary Wilson, because of the fact that they're so young. You can put them in a dynasty league. For redraft, I'm hands off the Jets from top to bottom. I'm with you. Zach Wilson has to prove it. Brees Hall to me has to prove it. I like Elijah Moore. Like I said, I think Gary Wilson will be there. But for me, in redraft, I expect the Jets to not be really good, and I don't expect them to be very fantasy relevant. So, yeah, Nita, Joe Flacco is still in
He's
the
still in the
league.
league. Yeah.
Old age and all, he's not good, but he's hanging around. You know who also still in the league? I saw this weekend, Andy Dalton playing
Yeah.
with the Saints. I was like, oh, Okay. I just
Hey,
he's just
get
doing
that
that
backup money, man.
backup tour. He's on a different team like every year
Get
since.
that backup money. I'm
So
trying to tell
he's
you.
about to get that backup cash, which makes him a slightly, I guess, relevant depending on how healthy Jameis Winston to be, because he's not
Yeah.
playing yet, and they probably aren't going to really play him until the season starts. They're trying to keep him a bit safe coming off his injury. So a lot of hey, you can hang around as a backup indefinitely. I
Yeah.
saw Chad Henne still in the league. I was like,
Why?
Chad Henne was never good, but apparently as a backup,
Well, you
why
know they
not?
say the best job in the world is a backup
For
quarterback.
that, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. The best job in the world is
Until
a
the starter
backup
gets
quarterback.
hurt and people actually see that you're terrible, they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh man, I've been exposed."
they said. I can't think of his name, but they said one backup. He's been a backup in
Hmm.
basically his whole career. He probably started like 2 games, and he's worth like $40 million right now.
Yeah,
He's been a back. Literally, that's the best job in the world. Like,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
You,
So,
you hold a
hey,
clipboard. You go to a few meetings. Hopefully, you never have to step up on the field.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like I said, it's good work if you can get it.
yeah, I ain't mad at that.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else
I
news
got one
wise?
more news story, and it's gonna come out. We're talking preseason football, and this was a result of a preseason game. But I'm gonna put the first part of it out today. The Packers wide receivers had a meeting with the quarterbacks, because if you watch that Packers game this weekend, Jordan Love looked terrible, but Aaron Rodgers, I think, was coming to his defense and saying that it wasn't all Jordan Love looking terrible. The wide receivers dropped a bunch of passes, and the coach said this too. The wide receivers dropped a couple of passes that turned into interceptions, and then they had wide receivers running the wrong routes, and so Rodgers calling folks to the floor, and then they had a meeting to, I guess, to try to get everything aired out today. So hopefully that turns into something.
Okay. 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 I mean, I get what he did, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
Something like that, you can pull those guys to the side in practice and say, "Hey, y'all need to work on this. You need to do this and do that." You can teach them instead of going. Some things you don't have to put out to the media. That's to me shows that he's not a leader in a sense. Just because you're a quarterback don't mean you're a leader. At the end of the day, I think that he could have did that in a better way, and he just made it more about himself because he came out and apologized today,
yeah.
which to me doesn't make any sense. You should have just did that outside of the public and just could have did it at camp, and nobody would have never knew this was going on.
No, if you watch the game, you would have known.
But what I'm saying is him
they,
him calling them out.
yeah,
Nobody would have never known that he called them out because of the fact that he could have did it at camp. I'm just saying.
yeah. It definitely didn't have to be though, but I see Shannon and Skip Bayless, for those that don't know, put Rodgers on blast this morning for throwing them under the
Thank
bus.
you. I
And
agree.
like I said, it didn't have to go that way. But you got to understand, hurt people hurt people. And Aaron Rodgers is hurt because he doesn't have the best wide receiver in football on his side. And he's looking around and realizing this is going to be a tough year. It's going to be a real tough year.
So I got one question for you. So if they would come
Should you?
out and say, if they come out and say, well, Aaron, what happened to you the last 2 years in the postseason where you didn't show up at all? Who fault was that? You know what he gonna say? Well, it was this, this, and this. He gonna make up every excuse in the book to defend himself, but he's not gonna give them kids a chance to defend themselves. I'm just saying. I think it's shameless personally. Just saying.
I feel you. But for those that watch the show, y'all know this guy's a Aaron Rodgers hater to
It's not
begin
about
with.
being an Aaron Rodgers hater. It's the
But
fact
you are.
that I'm not. I mean,
But yeah, like I said, it could have been a bit more tactful, but
yeah, he
but
didn't.
the truth, it was out there and obvious for anybody to see, because they look bad. They look bad. But
I mean, okay.
but that's
Well,
all. That's my news
that's all
stories.
I got. Let's talk about some preseason stars. Some guys that did work. The first week of preseason. Again, people, a lot of the stars didn't play,
Yeah,
so a lot of these guys, you're not gonna know. And we know this because we watch the games and we are fantasy football players. So that's why we know him. But we could help y'all out. Maybe these guys may make a
That's
team, and maybe they may do something.
Yeah, yeah. The big names didn't play a whole lot. Even those that played were in for a series and were out. But especially if you're into dynasty, you'll find some rookies that stood out. And then there's some other guys. Hey, you always look for sleepers deep in your drafts or on waiver wires. So it's good to see some of these lesser known players in the early weeks before the season gets started. So let's go. You
So I
got
got
anybody that stood out?
I got one. It is I'm gonna start with one. Kenny Pickett. Kenny
Okay.
Pickett stood out, even though all of them played well.
Mm-hmm.
All the quarterbacks actually played well.
For the
That
Steelers, by the
that
way.
for the Steelers. For
Yeah.
the Steelers. Kenny Pickett played well, and I think he should be the starter, in my opinion. He went 13 to 15 for 95 yards, two
Mm-hmm.
touchdowns. He didn't play much, but in a little bit of time that he played well.
Hey, he played at the end of the game. That for a preseason is usually not very watchable. That preseason game actually watched from beginning to end. It was actually really good. Kenny Pickett has his first game winner in the NFL in that preseason game.
Yeah.
He threw a touchdown right near the end to put the Steelers on the top. So if you're a fan of the Steelers, there was a lot to love in that game. Like I said, all the quarterbacks played well. I think they're still gonna probably start Mitch Trubisky. I think it's his job to lose at most. But
Eh,
if Pickett keeps having games like he did this past week, the Mitch Trubisky train is going to potentially stop before the before it even gets started because he looked too good and very good on center. Also on that team, George Pickens, the rookie
oh
wide receiver,
gosh, that
pulled in
kid
three
there.
catches for 43 and a touchdown from Mason Rudolph. And so if you there's a lot to like about that Steelers team, a
I
whole
got I
lot to
got
like.
I got a question for you.
Uh,
Does George Pickens does he take that number one receiver role? Or does he come close to it being a 1A, 1B situation where him and
and Deontay
Deontay Johnson
Johnson.
can be that 1A, 1B? Because I think he can jump Claypool,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
me
Claypool
personally.
had a good year 2 years ago. Yes, last year he was quite a disappointment.
Yeah,
Um, so I think Pickens probably becomes the elite alpha dog. Probably not this year though. I think it's still gonna be
okay.
Deontay Johnson. But like you said, it could be a 1A 1B like they used to say when it was like Antonio Brown and Juju when he was first
Yeah,
coming along and so there's like I said, there's a lot to love about that team, and I think they've got some talent like literally at every position. We mentioned that we had a dynasty league going on, and I had grabbed three players from the Steelers. I got Pickett, I got Najee Harris, and I have Deontay Johnson
yeah,
because all of those guys are still relatively young. One of them's a rookie, the other one's just in his second year, and Deontay Johnson's not that old. So it's like they get this thing together, especially once Pickett becomes a starter, and Pickens is already going to be started. That they're going to be good for years,
yeah.
like really, really good for
I
years.
drafted George Pickens,
Yeah,
and so I got him, and I actually think he's
I
going to
was
do.
I wanted to get him too. I'm not even gonna lie. I was gonna have to name my dynasty team the Pittsburgh still the virtual Pittsburgh Steelers because there's just so much to love with that.
Yeah, I end
But
up getting him. I think he's going to do work this year.
yeah,
I see him coming right in, and actually,
yeah.
that's why I think Kenny Pickett should be the starter.
Why not?
Honestly,
Get both of them growing and learning together, getting
yeah,
their chemistry. Uh, Mitch Trubisky, when they brought him over to the team, he was just a holdover until till they drafted somebody that was ready. Hey, like I said, if he plays another preseason game like he did this last week, they're gonna determine he's ready a lot sooner than a lot of
well,
people were thinking.
he got first team reps just
Yeah.
like today. He got first
Mm-hmm.
team reps. And another thing, Trubisky only signed a 2 year deal. I think it's
Yeah.
like 14 million. So it's like $7 million this year, and I think
Mm-hmm.
only five was against. So really, if you think about it in terms of anything, that's backup money for him. So that's a
Yeah.
backup quarterback's money. So them going to Kenny Pickett really is not. It
Not a
wouldn't
bad
be.
thing.
It's not a bad thing because he's not. Trubisky's not making top dollar to say we can't put him on
Right.
the bench. So for that, I think they should go Kenny Pickett
Yeah.
just because he's just better. He's younger, and you got he's been playing in that stadium for the last 4 years.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, he walked in the door and just went right, and now he go left. I mean, come on, it's just it's crazy. But I think it's a good
No,
thing. I think he should start.
like I said, game winner in the first game he ever played in the NFL. So the writing's on the wall. He's going to be the man, and I think
Yeah,
he's going to be really, really good. Like you said, since Trubisky's getting backup money, they might as well, let him be the backup, which
backup.
is a
Yeah.
different kind of situation from this next guy. Talking about the Titans and the Ravens game, we saw Malik Willis go 6 for
Ooh,
11, 107 yards. He's got a cannon, and he unleashed it in that first
Malik.
game. So he threw for a touchdown and ran for another 38 yards. So if you've got a dynasty team, you should draft Malik Willis. I think somebody did.
Me,
So,
of course, me. I
oh
drafted
yeah,
Malik
that's right.
Willis.
It was you.
And I
And
think he's gonna do work this year. And
now,
and I'm gonna do the bold. We doing bold predictions at some
uh,
point, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of mine now. Malik Willis is gonna take that job by mid-season.
and see, that's why I said it's a different situation. Trubisky's not getting paid a lot. Tannehill is getting
He's
paid a
getting paid
whole
a
lot.
whole lot.
He's getting paid a
Tannehill
right.
right now, his I think he's being hit for like
Yeah,
38.5 million
he's getting
as
paid
far
a
as
lot. Yeah,
getting paid. That's the highest right now as far as average pay for a quarterback
hmm
right now for 1 year is him. And to me that's outrageous. For somebody the likes of he's one of the top five for the likes of
yeah,
Tannehill. Is no way Tannehill should be making $38 million this year. Let's
yeah.
be totally honest now. Not the way he played, and you know firsthand
Yeah,
because you had him
he
last year.
destroyed my fantasy championship too because I hit him in two different leagues. So
Yes.
so we're not Ryan Tannehill fans over here, and
And
so yeah,
I look at it this way. If you got Malik Willis out there, even though he's
hmm
still raw, let's be honest, he's still raw.
he's much a work in progress.
Yes, but the things that he do that Tannehill can't do is if you with Derrick Henry, you got it. You're gonna put eight in the box because you're gonna make Tannehill throw the football.
Right.
At least with Malik Willis, you got to pair 11 on 11 and say if we do try to come in here and blitz him, he can run.
hmm
He can run away. That helps Derrick Henry in the long run. For real, like if you're thinking about it. I just think they need to go Malik Willis. I ain't saying start him right out the book,
Yeah.
but I think if they start off on 4, 1-5, somewhere you got to think about going to Malik Willis at some point, especially in the
Yeah.
AFC.
One thing to note: the quarterback coach noted that the thing about Malik Willis is he's getting better every day, and they're just seeing this growth in him. But the reason I say I don't know about this year is they said they're not gonna rush him. They're taking their time. They're looking for like 1% increments all
Oh
the time.
my God!
So for me, it sounds like, and it goes back to the money. It sounds like they're gonna try to stretch Ryan Tannehill as much as they can this year. But I agree with you. Ryan Tannehill's not the answer. But
I,
I don't know how quickly things are going to turn around. Like I said, Pickett, he needs to get on the field as soon as possible, and he's
of
making that case.
course,
Malik Willis, I think it's going to be a longer process.
yes.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if he did start at some point this
Mm-hmm.
year, but I'm not betting on that one. So we'll see.
I think he is. I hope he does because they got a good defense. They got a good
Yeah,
running game.
they've got everything.
They got everything you
They've got
need for a rookie quarterback to come in and be successful. And all he got to do is just limit turnovers and really not make mistakes. I mean, that's all.
Like, only 11 attempts, but he had 0 interceptions
Yeah,
in that preseason game. So, yeah, if he can just, like you said, if it just not mess up. All they have to do is not lose the game,
And
and
Tannehill
they'll
gonna do
be
that for
good.
you by itself.
Tannehill will lose the game.
So I'm just saying, man, like that's me. But I
Yeah.
got one for you.
Well, but before we leave this game,
Oh,
though,
yeah.
important. A lot of people got big expectations for Traylon Burks, and what do you think
Traylon
of
Burks. Traylon
he was
Burks.
held catchless, and he had like a run for like 4 yards. But are you concerned if you're big on Traylon Burks after this one game? Probably
I
not that
am.
concerned, but I don't know.
I'm not concerned, but my biggest concern about all of this is really Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that because, like I said, if you go eight in the box and you make them throw the football, then you got to think about
Yeah.
it in a sense where you're gonna make Trubisky win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Can not Trubisky, I'm sorry,
Well,
Tannehill.
Tannehill, yeah.
If can Tannehill win the game for you is the question. Can Tannehill, because we seen Tannehill didn't do well with AJ Brown. AJ Brown probably did most of the work because
Yeah.
I watched some of them games and AJ Brown he made a lot of good catches that made it look easy
Yeah.
coming from Tannehill. But for me, it wasn't Tannehill doing most of the work. It was really AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And not
I think that's fair.
and let's be real. I mean, Julio Jones not past his prime, but Julio Jones ain't the same Julio Jones. He couldn't even get Julio Jones the football at his height.
Yeah.
He still couldn't get him the football. So I'm not worried about him. I think once they go to Malik Willis, I think he'll shine a little bit more
Yeah.
because I think they'll force feed him the ball regardless.
And
Just
I
because,
think that's the only thing that surprised me about this first preseason game is they didn't try to get the ball to him a bit more. But yeah, like I said, it's preseason, not too concerned.
yeah,
The senior Jasper Lewis is in the building. He's with you. He says Malik Willis is going to be the starter before the season's over.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling. I see it. I see it. And I'm telling you, first
Yeah.
5 games, first five games.
Okay.
If they don't break even, or if they go 1-4, something like that, look for Malik Willis. Just saying. You heard it here first. So,
All right. Who else you got?
I got. Even though we just talk about him having COVID, but Drew Lock he showed out.
He was
Played
not
well.
bad.
He played well. Now, I don't know if that's going to translate to the regular season,
Uh-huh.
but it was a glimmer of hope for them. He had 11, 15, 102 yards, 2
Two
touchdowns.
touchdowns. So
I mean, do you see, I need your honest opinion, and I know you give it to me. Which one is better, Geno Smith or Drew Lock?
Drew Lock.
Okay.
Yeah. In cases of mediocre quarterbacks, I go with the younger mediocre quarterback because
Okay.
at least there's the potential there. Geno Smith, he's been in the league long enough to know he is who he is.
That's true.
Potentially, Drew Lock with a DK Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett, maybe we see something that we
Okay.
haven't been able to see. If Drew Lock cannot throw a ton of interceptions, it's not like
Okay.
he's a bad quarterback. He
Mhm.
just hasn't been a really good one. And so I think that there's the potential at least for a redemption story with him.
Yeah.
With Geno Smith, I think it's just Geno Smith's a backup. That's who he is.
Now, what if Drew Lock was to win the job? Do you put more value on Lockett and
More
on the
more
on the
value
receivers?
than I would with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think they definitely would be better served. Like last year, I said many times, I have no idea why they're starting Teddy Bridgewater. We know who Teddy Bridgewater is. He's also
Yeah.
a backup. Drew
Okay.
Lock makes a lot of mistakes, and that's been his problem. But if he
Okay.
can correct his mistakes, there's at least you can see the upside. I don't see upside with Geno Smith, just like I didn't see upside with Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
They're game managers, which is nothing wrong if you have a team that can benefit from game management. But
Yeah.
I don't think the Broncos were that last year. I don't think the Seahawks are that this year. They don't need a game manager. They need someone that has the potential to break open games, and you can see Drew Lock potentially doing that. And he showed it. Like I said, he showed a lot in that preseason game.
Well, I mean, I hope. Me personally, I don't know where they're gonna go with this.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to play one of them. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they can
Unless
wait
they
for a
get
quarter.
Garoppolo.
It
Not that
could
that's
be.
much better, to tell you
I
the
mean, that
truth.
ain't much better. I
Yeah.
feel like all three of them the same, to be honest with you. I mean, because it's a bad situation in
Yeah.
as a whole, far as the team, because their line is not great, their defense is
Yeah.
not great, running game, running backs hurt. I mean,
All the
so
time.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I would go Drew Lock
Yeah.
over Geno Smith personally.
In a
That's just
heartbeat.
me though. So
All right, let's go down to the city of Hotlanta.
Atlanta.
We saw some rookies out there as well. The Falcons taking on the Lions. Desmond Ritter, 10 for 22. It's not very accurate, but he had 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 rushes for 59 yards. So the apparent, well, not even apparent, the obvious heir to the to the Matty Ice industry in Atlanta.
Yeah,
He had a good coming out party. He's also not expected to be the starter from jump. They're gonna start with Marcus Mariota, who had a good. He rushed for a touchdown, but Marcus Mariota is also a backup. And so I think
oh my
that Desmond Ritter
gosh.
made a case that I need to be the starter, and I think again before the end of the season, Desmond Ritter would be the starter because he looked really good as well as the running back. He didn't have a really big stat night, but Tyler Algier, he looked pretty good for the time that he was in. 3 rushes, only 25 yards, but that's a nice yards per carry to go on. So there's another team with some youth
Yeah,
that could be pretty good with Ritter and Algier as and the running back. Kyle Pitts had his 1,000 yard season just a year ago, and if Calvin Ridley comes off suspension,
yeah.
next year,
I mean,
that
I would appeal if I
there's
was
some
him, but
stuff
that's
to
just me.
love. If you're in Atlanta, they're gonna suck again this year, but there's some light there that they brought in some
I,
time to do. Did you,
I
you get to
mean,
see that? You like Ritter?
I do. I do. I think again it goes back. He's in a situation where he could start from day one. I
Might
don't
as
think
well.
they prefer him to start from
Yeah.
day one. But again, looking at the backup Mariota, he didn't sign a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not
He's
to where they
also
have to
got
play
backup
him.
money.
He
Right.
got backup money, so they can, if they want to move forward with him, they possibly could. I think he's better for Pitts,
Yeah.
honestly, than Marcus Mariota, because Marcus Mariota is the type of quarterback he thinks about running first a little bit, and he don't really go to his progressions well enough to
No.
say, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 and just look to see if who's open. The first thing he gonna think about if somebody's not open, he's running. I
That's
think,
that's his talent. that's
yeah,
that's what he's good at. So yeah, you go when in those situations you go to your default setting, and so you know what I'm saying. He is who he is. That's why he's a backup. He's a
yeah,
gadget kind of guy that you can throw in, but they need to get Ritter in as soon as possible. He says, "Hey, they at least have Magic City." Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not gonna say
yeah,
anything. Yep, they do have that.
yeah. Kids watch this show sometimes.
Right. Okay. So who else shined for you in
So we
preseason?
got two running backs from your Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
We got Austin Walter
Mm-hmm.
and we got Zamir White.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about these guys, but Zamir White has 65 yards. He averaged 4.1 yards per attempt, and Walter averaged 5.3 yards per attempt, and he has 79 yards in the touchdown. My question for you is, as the Raider guy in the room,
The Raiders are undefeated in the preseason.
oh my gosh, does that really matter? Um, how does this affect? And I know it's just
Yeah.
preseason, but how does this affect Josh Jacobs?
He did not get his 5th year option. So there you go. it means
Okay.
he's on. They say they're happy with him and he's their guy, but they did not sign. They did not take up his 5th year option. And I've mentioned the Raiders are notorious for this. They
Mm,
take their running backs, they run them in for their rookie years, and they ship them out the door. So
okay.
Josh Jacobs is on his way out the door. Hopefully, he has a really good because he's a good player. So I hope he has a good season. But the truth is, this year I think he'll be fine unless they get a really good trade offer for him.
Okay.
But the point being, these young guys you're seeing are going to be the guys to have if you're in the dynasty because they're going to be the starters next year. Josh Jacobs probably not. I would be very surprised if Josh Jacobs is a running back for the Las Vegas Raiders next year.
I mean, so which one of these guys do you prefer
Zamir White in a heartbeat.
to replace? Well, I was finished to replace him. So White is your
So
guy.
Tree, if you're watching, I'm mad at you, but we Raider brethren, and and I done he was picking beside me, and he took Zamir White the round I was gonna get him. So yes, I'm a firm believer that he's the future, and he should be really
Okay.
good. The Raiders are doing something nice. They're undefeated in the preseason.
Okay. And I got one more. Both of these guys, which I'm mad you took this guy from me in the draft, and I was pretty hot about it, but it's cool. I still love you. Damian Pierce is,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna tell you who he reminds me of. He reminds me of Arian Foster so much.
Okay.
The way he runs, just his style of play. And Aaron Foster came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
If you remember Aaron Foster was
Oh, I
on
remember Arian Foster because he was on my fantasy football team for a couple of years.
but a lot of people don't remember how Aaron Foster got where he was at. Aaron
He
Foster was
he blew
literally
up really quickly and went away very quickly as well with
yes, he
injury. He
did.
had injury problems that shortened his career. So yeah.
But he was like the third running back in the preseason,
Mm-hmm.
and he just came out of nowhere
Yeah.
and just went crazy. And a lot of people
Yep.
didn't
He
really.
was undrafted in a lot of leagues that year when he
Yes, he
blew up.
was. I mean, he was in the way
Mm-hmm.
he runs, and it's bad. It's unfortunate that he had all those injuries because he really
Yeah,
would have been good.
definitely.
But the way Damian Pierce runs, he runs
Very similar.
similar to him, and they got the same number. If you don't really, the same number that he had, they both wearing the same number. So I think he should start. I don't know why he
This
wouldn't start,
this
but
this
he should start. But
I saw someone. If they don't start Damian Pierce at the beginning of the season, they're not trying to put their best team out there because
they're not.
he came in. His numbers weren't like extremely crazy. But the point is, when he came in, you could tell the difference that he made, and so he ended up having a good game. Right now, Damian Pierce is getting drafted like very late, like 96 to around the early 100s in
That's
players.
crazy.
And so I picked him up pretty late myself, and I dynasty come a couple of more games where people get a chance to see him. Expect his draft stock to go up. So be warned, people in leagues with me. I'm coming for Damian Pierce, and so if you want him, you better be ready because
Well,
he's gonna do some stuff.
put it like this, and I
Mhm.
know it's preseason, but he's averaging 9.8 yards per
Yeah.
attempt.
He's looking phenomenal. He's
Like that's a guaranteed first down, pretty
Mhm.
much, on 2 carries. So I'm just saying, like you got to play him. And I'm gonna tell you like this: I'm gonna get him before you get him in one of these drafts.
hey, I can't win them all, but so far I
And
got
we got
him,
like
and
we
you
got like
didn't.
3 more. We got
we
3
got
more
we got
drafts
several drafts to go before
to
the
play
season
in.
is
So
over.
I'm definitely gonna
But
get one of them. I'm gonna snatch him from you in one of them.
well, let me tell you, you already know. You better be coming ready for it because he, like I said, a lot of people don't know him yet, and because it's the Texans, I think a lot of people are just sleeping on them because they're an awful football team. But I'm hoping Lovie Smith can at least make them a respectable team. He's a good coach,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna want to run the ball, and that sets up nicely for Damian Pierce. So
Okay.
the cat's out the bag for those that didn't know already. You better know, and you better be ready. Let me talk about somebody. His name is Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
We got Eagles fans on air, and so they need to know he had a perfect game. 6 for 6, 80 yards, touchdown. He took a hit. He took
Yes, he
he
did.
took a serious hit. So I was like, okay, y'all see that he's doing his job. Don't let him get back out there ever, because you cannot afford to have this man hurt. He looked really good. He ended last season well, and I think he's going to continue that into this
Okay.
year. So fantasy wise, Jalen Hurts, he's going to win some people some leagues this year.
I think well, you say that because you got him.
I
For
do.
one.
I'm very excited.
You say that because you got him. That's one.
Yes.
He He got him in the dynasty league. So
When I say he's gonna win people some championships, I was talking
yeah,
about myself. Yes.
yeah, he says that because he got him. So let's put that out there first before you start
Full
really.
disclosure.
Full disclosure, he got
Yeah.
him in the draft. So, um, but I do agree. I ain't gonna say I'm the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. I mean, it just depends on what type of league you in with Jalen Hurts. Because if the league gets you as far as quarterbacks get a lot of points for running,
Yeah.
then he's great. He's top 10, whatever. Now, in a strict passing league, does he adjust? How would he do in a passing league? We both play in passing leagues. Now, where would you put him in a passing league, rank wise? How is he in a passing league?
Based off what we saw last year, I think
Mm-hmm.
you reasonably can expect Jalen Hurts to throw for around 3,500 yards this year.
Okay.
I would expect at the very least 700 to 800 rushing yards. I think he toys with 1,000, but I don't know whether he really gets that. Because let's tell the truth. If you watch the Eagles last year, they threw some of any and everybody back there at running back.
Yes, they did.
So Jalen Hurts could very easily be the leading rusher, like that year when Lamar Jackson was the leading rusher.
Yeah.
But you're not asking about rushing. You're asking about a
Passing.
passing lead. And in that case, he's probably not at the top of the pecking. He's outside of the top 12 to 15 if you're not getting a lot of points. If you're getting, because just to give people some background, the leagues that he's talking about, they have a lot of passing bonuses for completions and getting over 400 yards a game, things like that. I wouldn't expect Jalen Hurts to do any of that kind of stuff. But in a more typical standard league, Jalen Hurts is easily, I would say, top 10. In a more passing league, he's probably going to be on the lower end of that, around maybe 15 to maybe as low as 20 if he doesn't quite shake out. But I don't think I think he's still going to have relevancy. And just speaking to the leagues I know that we're in together, I would be more than content to have Jalen Hurts as my second quarterback in any of those passing leagues, because he's not going to put up the big gaudy passing numbers, but he's going to be fantasy relevant. If he can throw for 3,500 and still bring me those rushing yards, he's going to put up enough numbers to justify him as a second running back.
Do you see?
Second quarterback. My bad.
Do you see him as? Because Lamar has those same type of seasons.
They're very similar players. I have similar expectations for both of them this year.
So which one, if you had to pick one?
Lamar Jackson. If I got to pick one, I'm going to go with the guy that I've seen. Why? I've seen him as the league MVP before, and I believe he can do that again. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm talking about fantasy purposes, though.
And if
real life.
And he was on my fantasy team that MVP season, then I'm living great. So yeah, for those same reasons, I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson, getting a slight edge over Jalen Hurts. But I expect both of them to have really good years.
Well, I think that MVP year he finished like 12th in our league.
In that pass, because again, he doesn't have big passing numbers.
That's true.
But that might change this year. We're not at bold predictions yet, but expect a bold Lamar Jackson prediction from this guy over here.
Oh, gosh.
Expect the bold one coming up.
Do we really?
Oh, you better. Let me hit another preseason game, because I want us to at least chat a little bit about these top 10 lists that you guys have been seeing scrolling through. Let's talk about somebody who didn't shine very brightly. If you watch that Browns Jaguars game, first off, wow, you really love football, because that just has awful written all over it. But secondly, if you saw Deshaun Watson in his, he might not get a lot of play in this preseason, but he was awful. And awful is putting it nicely. 1 of 5 for a grand total of 7 yards in that game before they pulled him out. Were you able to watch that game at all, or
I watched
the highlights of it?
I watched some of the highlights.
They can show all 5 of his passes, and he was throwing in the dirt like more than anywhere near his receivers.
I put that on Russ. I put that on that plan.
Right.
Is that a lot of that contributes to him not being on the field.
True.
Like, to be honest,
But was he in
because you can be in
practice? Because if he was in practice, I was like, I expected some rust, but that was just a terrible display of quarterback.
I mean, but you can be in practice. You can't
Yeah,
simulate,
you can't simulate a game. I give you
in
that.
practice. You can't. So, I mean, practice and real game are two different things.
Yeah.
I think he looked bad. Honestly, it's just because he ain't played.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. He ain't played, and I think he needs to play every preseason game.
Yeah.
Just to shake the rust.
Even if he's not going to play in the season, I agree. They need to play him in these preseason
He just
games.
need to play. I mean, say whatever games he get, he needs to play, period. Because obviously he's not draftable. But if somebody wants to take that chance to say, oh, I'm going to hold on to him for 10 weeks and then he come back and I make him use him for the playoffs, he's still going to be rusty when he come back.
Yeah.
So he has to play something.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
yeah, that's what I say. As much as possible, they need to play him in it because, hey, they're not paying him a lot this year, the way they did the contract. But, you're paying him, and you're probably not going to play him during the season. So you need to put him in these preseason games, like you said, just to give him a chance to shake some of the rust off and, remember what football is.
Yeah, and that's the problem. He just hasn't played. And I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the greatest receiving core either.
No.
I mean, outside of
not.
Amari Cooper, like, can you name the other ones? I mean, yeah, Peoples but like, let's be real now. Like, these guys are not the greatest receivers. I mean, I think they did them wrong, but I will say this: this is probably the best receiving core that he's had since he's been in the league.
I was going to say,
with Hopkins.
Okay, I was like,
with
this one guy.
Since Hopkins left.
Okay, then
this is the best receiving core that he's had.
Which doesn't say a lot, does it?
It don't say a lot.
It doesn't say a lot, but
we're big fans of Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
but let's be honest, like,
he's limited.
Limited.
There's a reason he can be drafted so late because he's not. He's not DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, so
let's say
I still think this is probably the best grouping as far as running backs, because I don't remember him being there with Aaron Foster. I could be wrong though. Was he there with the years of Aaron Foster?
Go back and look at that one.
So
yeah,
I don't know. That's just me though.
It's not in the comment section, but I got a comment on Deshaun Watson. And I'm just going to say, perhaps he lost his source of strength and leave it at that with his newfound life. But, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We're going to leave that one alone.
You got some more preseason highlights? I know you got to have one.
I got one.
Uh-huh.
I got two, actually.
Okay.
Danny Gray.
Okay,
we get 49ers.
Yeah, huh?
That's not a homer pick.
No, because I was waiting for you to get to this game. Yeah.
Danny Gray, he 2 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. But the guy is a complete burner, bro.
Yeah.
When I tell you,
this
guy runs a 4.3. He runs a 4.3. I mean, and in today in practice, he smoked Patrick Peterson for a 50-yard touchdown from Trey Lance. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
He's the third. Matter of fact, he may be the fourth receiver on this team. I'm assuming third because I think he can beat out Jennings. But if he's the fourth, think about him as your fourth receiver against a safety or a linebacker or a fourth cornerback. He's gonna smoke him.
Didn't he catch the touchdown in the game that Trey Lance threw? Yeah, I thought so.
67-yarder or 76-yarder, one of them.
Yeah, I think it was 76. Yeah.
He smoked them down the sideline. I mean, he completely smoked them. The boy is fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and Trey Lance looked good too, but we ain't gonna talk about that,
I don't want to talk about Trey Lance.
We ain't gonna talk about that. But that game was we played well. The defense played well. Green Bay was obviously terrible.
Yeah.
Jordan Love. I don't really want to talk bad about Jordan Love because I don't think all of it was Jordan Love's fault. Yeah. He did have one interception that was just blatantly his fault, though. But like a lot of the receivers won't playing well.
Yeah.
I will give him that. but I will respect the fact that he didn't go to them and go, y'all, like after the game and say, well, the receivers ain't do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
He just played it like it was and probably said something in practice. But Jordan Love, I got one question for you though, man.
Well, okay, ask your question. Then I'll say.
No, go ahead.
No. Well, I was just gonna say in that game, Jordan Love with his 3 interceptions looked really bad, and that is, I think, the reason because Aaron Rodgers and the coach basically were both calling out
The receivers,
how bad those receivers were. But one thing to say, Romeo Doubs, even though he was responsible for one of those running the wrong plays, he also had he also had a touchdown and threw a touchdown of 45 yards. So he's somebody you can look at because like. One thing about the reason it's a big deal with these rookie wide receivers is that's all they've got. They've got a bunch of rookies. They've got Alan Lazard, who hasn't been able to stay healthy, and I think is limited as a receiver as well. And they've got a 75-year-old Randall Cobb. So if these rookie wide receivers can't get it together, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Christian Watson's, I think, coming off the PUP list. So perhaps he can come in, and he's another rookie they have that maybe they can try to right the ship.
So I'm going to
what's your question?
I'm going to continue my hate for Aaron Rodgers, as you would say.
Everyone knows you're a hater.
I mean, whatever. I mean, how does this affect him in the regular season?
He is for fantasy. Being drafted later than he ever has, and that game did not give you reason to think, oh, we're reading this wrong. Okay. This is not going to be the greatest of years. But one of the things we discussed about earlier was, can Aaron Rodgers distribute the ball to multiple receivers? I think this gives you evidence he's going to have to do that this year. And so, can he do it? I'm going to say yes, he will do it. Because quite frankly, he doesn't have anybody he can rely on. So he's going to have to distribute the ball just to find out who his favorite receiver is. Because this ragtag bunch of guys, it ain't.
I mean,
it
like
ain't great.
if you had to pick one to put on your fantasy team,
I did pick one on my fantasy team, Christian Watson.
That's dynasty. I'm talking about
in a redraft.
In a redraft,
I'm not drafting any of those wide receivers. No. I draft Aaron Rodgers in a redraft league because he's going to have to throw the ball up. But receivers, nay.
So you're not drafting any of these guys in the
not in redraft, no. There's some dynasty. I would draft perhaps Christian Watson at the very end of a draft just because I've got a pick to spare. But I'm not trying to draft it. They are a crap fest of wide receivers. I prefer. Here's the telling sign. Ask me, would I rather have receivers on the Texans or the Packers? I'm gonna say the Texans because they at least have Brandon Cooks.
I'm taking the Texans too. Yeah,
it's really bad. It's really bad.
I mean, the only ones that you
but the rookies they're gonna have to rely on rookies. So there's at least hope that it can get better by the end of the year. But I think that's gonna be a learning process. It's gonna take a while.
I mean. To me, honestly, I think if it's a learning process for this group of guys and Aaron Rodgers, to me, the first 4 or 5 weeks, you just got to stay away from Aaron Rodgers. You can't – if he's talking bad about him now and they playing against not even real first teams because they're not playing their starters, if you're talking about real first teams when they playing their starters, what is he going to say then?
Lord help me.
that's what I'm saying. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
If he's doing this now and they playing against second and third string guys,
expect him to be frustrated quite a few times this year. But calling him to the floor might end up being a good thing because
it might be a bad thing too.
It could be. It could backfire on them. But at least because they had a lot of quotes from Romeo Doubs after the meeting today. And he seems to have taken it very well, and I'm hoping that they take the criticism and run with it to do better because they're gonna, like I said, if these rookies don't get it together, there's no hope because come on, Randall Cobb, stop.
Just stop. I mean, but he should have took less than the $50 million.
He did what he was supposed to do so Devontae Adams can come home. Stop playing.
Oh, okay, I get
Stop playing.
I'm sorry. I ain't mean to
Yeah,
say
you're
that. I'm
talking
sorry.
foolishness right now.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if they would have paid Devontae Adams, he wouldn't have these problems. But I understand where you're coming from, though. It's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah.
I got one more,
Go
and then
for
I'll
it.
let you have the floor. Uh, a guy named Tom Kennedy
Yeah.
from Detroit. He had 8 receptions, 104 yards. Now I don't know if he's gonna make the team,
Uh huh.
but he did show out. He played well. Um, they may keep him as a third or fourth receiver
Mm-hmm.
because they got Amon St. Brown, they got DJ Chalk, they got
They
people
got
that
some players.
yeah that they're gonna throw to.
Yeah.
He may not be that guy. He might special teams type guy, but I'm just shouting him out because he played well. Um, and who knows? He could be a gem that you might can just pick up and might do work for you.
Perhaps, perhaps. Well, I'm going to. I've got one last one, and this is also continuing with my theme of people who did not shine well. The Panthers played the Commanders. On a positive note, Baker Mayfield looked, serviceable.
Yeah.
Not a huge
Okay.
game, and then Sam Darnold came in through a touchdown. So they've got two guys battling it out. I still expect Baker Mayfield to most likely win that job, but that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Commanders and Antonio Gibson.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
things. I unfortunately, in the dynasty week, I actually did have to draft Antonio Gibson to my
Listen,
squad because I was like,
you
oh crap, that's my best option. I am not excited about it
you
because he is.
waited too
I,
long.
well, whatever. Um, not
Okay.
my very first pick was a running back, so I didn't wait. I waited too long on tight end. On running backs, my team is stacked because I'm the one who has Damian Pierce and you don't.
That's all
So
right.
I'm good on running backs except for Antonio Gibson, who might not be the starter because Brian Robinson looked pretty good. He had 6 carries for 26 yards, got a touchdown in there. Antonio Gibson had a fumble, and that's the thing that had him in the doghouse last year. He's turnover prone and fumbling in the preseason game and not helping it. He's been working. He's worked with the starters as well, but they've had him working with the backup group. They had him working on special teams in practice. It's like these are not things that you do for your
Yep.
starting running back.
Yep.
And Antonio Gibson is start. We've talked about him before, and I said I'm not really big on Antonio Gibson because he hasn't lived up to expectations.
Yeah.
But I am after this game that just happened. I am really, really not big on Antonio Gibson. So
I
yeah,
mean, redraft wise, I'm probably not gonna touch him.
yeah,
He's probably gonna fall in
yeah,
most
yeah.
redraft leagues that we play in.
He's gonna
So
yeah for good reason.
yeah, for good reason. But I'm not touching him. I'm not going because I'm afraid he's just gonna not have that job,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be a waste of a pick. To be honest with you.
We'll find. I'm hoping he can at least have some fantasy relevancy. Otherwise, I'm hoping he gets traded. so, so I, so at least that pick will have some use to me.
Yeah, we'll
But
see.
yeah, Antonio Gibson looking like hot trash. But Brian Robinson may be making a case to get drafted a little bit higher. Also looking good. He's not gonna. He has no chance of being a starter. But Sam Howell, the rookie that the Commanders have, he had a pretty good game. 9 for 16, 145 yards. Carson Wentz is implanted as the guy, but
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the Carson Wentz is also not a long term solution.
Well,
So maybe
he's on a
Howell.
1 year.
So
He's
maybe
on a one
Howell
year
could
deal.
be somebody you also stash on your dynasty league. We'll see.
Yeah, Howard is probably the guy you want to
Yeah,
stash. Carson Wentz on a 1 year deal,
yeah,
so he not gonna be there next year if Howard comes in next year and plays well in training camp.
yeah.
So I don't see him there. Want to talk about these lists real quick?
Yo, you've been watching them to on our side, that side, all game that's been going by. But yeah, let's talk about these top 10 lists.
Yeah.
Where do you want to? Should we just start with quarterbacks because they're quarterbacks?
Start with quarterbacks. Let's go.
All right. So we've got our top 10 list we've been doing. And there wasn't a whole lot of debate between us on this list because, the top quarterback is hard to argue about. We've got starting off the list with Josh Allen and then we've got Patrick Mahomes. So if you've been watching the show, there's really not a big surprise there. We've got Justin Herbert in third, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr in the eighth spot, Kyler Murray, and then Trey Lance. We've got ending our top 10. Now this is our joint R and J top 10. We had quite a bit of discussion and debate on who should be on this top 10 list. But we also have our individual list. We'll probably get a little bit more into. But how do you think this? And by the way, if you're watching, let us know what you think. If there's somebody we left out of our top 10 that should be, or there's someone in the top 10, Trey Lance, who doesn't really belong there. Let us know. Let us know.
Stop with the hate.
What? I didn't say anything. I just asked your opinion. Go for it.
I'm just saying. I mean, looking at your list.
Hey, they'll see my list when it's time.
I like this list.
Let's talk our joint list first.
I mean, we normally come up with a really good list. We think similar anyway.
Yeah.
I have no problem with this list at all.
I love
this list.
We worked hard on it.
Kyler Murray is my only question mark.
Right.
Because he's missing
problem.
Injuries. He's missing Hopkins for the first
6 games.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't play well in the second half of the season. So, and he finished, I think, number 11 in our league last year in a passing league. So he could be a bit of a question mark, but and if you want to, for the sake of argument, you want to say Trey Lance because he didn't do anything last year, for the sake of argument. But this is not about last year. This is about potential this year. So he has more potential this year to be better than the other guys. That's why I put him up there.
Well, want to hit your personal list so you can let them know. This, like I said, this was our joint one. So, hey, here you got the floor. Tell us about your personal top 10.
Well, for my personal top 10, I went Josh Allen, obviously, Herbert, Mahomes, Tom Brady, Burrow, Matthew Stafford, Prescott, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Trey Lance. I swapped Kirk Cousins for what's the kid name? I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. For Kyler Murray, for Kyler Murray, just based on the fact that I think the new offensive coordinator, or the new head coach that they have, comes from the Rams. He's going to open it up a lot for these guys. And Kirk Cousins has been a bona fide 42-34 touchdown guy for the last 2-3 years. He's always hit those type of numbers. And I think he's going to do even more this year with what the rest of the league rest of the list is pretty standard for what we agreed on.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you will, your list isn't really, like I said, that far from where we ultimately ended up. Like you said, there's a couple of differences up there. Like you wanted Kirk Cousins. So I actually have as one of my top guys. I think he's in that second tier. And like I said, with the changes they're making to the offense, I think he's gonna have a real good season ahead of him. And I'm not even too mad at you on the Trey Lance. The one person I do have, and he's number 4 on your list, and he's pretty high on our joint list as well. But Tom Brady has me a bit concerned this year, coming back from retirement and now taking some time off. I'm kind of wondering how well his heart's into this season. Are you concerned at all? I mean, there's no denying the last 2 years, Tom Brady has been magnificent. And he has a team around him that I think he's still going to be good. But if there's a drop-off, it could be.
I'm not concerned because when you talk about Tom Brady, when the lights come on,
right,
he's very competitive. So when the lights come on, Tom Brady just going to be Tom Brady regardless. And I think a lot of people don't think this is a good addition, but I think the addition of Julio Jones is going to be a lot. It's going to be major when it really counts in a season
Yeah,
because you gotta when you got Julio Jones as your third receiver, and you're gonna be missing Chris Godwin maybe the first two games, maybe, but when Chris Godwin come back, you're gonna have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones. And when you have all three of them on the field together,
right,
you at some point you're gonna have to decide what you want to do.
right.
Which one you gonna double team, which one you gonna single coverage. And most of that time they probably gonna single coverage Julio, and Julio is gonna benefit a lot from Tom Brady. So I think Tom Brady's going to go back to being Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's going to lead the league in passing again this year, to be honest with you.
Oh,
So,
I was called that bold. Well,
no, not
well, he's
really.
done it. Not
He's done
super
it.
bold, but
He's done
he's
the
done it.
last. He's had 5,000 yards, well, 10,000 yards, and like over 70 touchdowns in the last 2 years. So you can't. I mean, people say, well, he's old. He's bound to break down. This
Yeah,
and that. He's been old for the last 2 years and ain't changed nothing.
yeah.
So I and plus the league they ain't gonna let him get hurt anyway, as long as he's in the league. So it don't matter.
They got Brady rules like they had Jordan rules back in the days in the
Yeah, so it don't
NBA.
matter.
I
So
feel you.
they're gonna protect him regardless. So
Welcome, Catherine Bracy, to the show. You're just in time for me to talk that what you're looking at on the side is Rodney's top 10 list. Let me talk about the good one. Let me go to my list. So much like you, I started with Josh Allen because why not? Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, so he's great, and I love Justin Herbert this year. I think he's gonna do some completely marvelous things. So I look for him to shine. Joe Burrow, of course, coming off a Super Bowl contending year a year ago, and he's just like we've talked before. He has the best set of wide receiving weapons in the league. So you know he's going to be phenomenal this year. This is where we start to kind of split apart, though, because I actually do have Joe Burrow. I mean Kyler Murray, not just in my top 10, but I have him high in my top 10, and it's because if he's healthy, he can pass. He's good. He's a good passer, and he brings that running dimension that I think is important. So hey, he's a guy who, since he won Rookie of the Year, he's been a very consistent performer in the NFL. So I think for your fantasy team, you can't go wrong with Kyler Murray. I've got Derek Carr. I've told y'all before. My bold prediction is he's going to be a MVP candidate this year. I do have Dak Prescott up pretty high. I've got Matthew Stafford. I'm a little bit concerned about his elbow issue, but they say, at least for now, that elbow issue is not much of a. They said it's at least heading in the right direction. So hopefully it continues to be a sort of non-problem as the season goes on. But I am I would say a little bit concerned about that injury. We've also got on this list Dak after Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford. I do have Tom Brady in my top 10, despite my a little bit of hesitation. Like you said, it's hard. You can't deny what he's been doing. So he's good. And for the same reason I have Kyler Murray, for that running option, I have Lamar Jackson. And I told y'all, be ready for a bold prediction on Lamar Jackson when we get to our bold prediction shows, because he's been the league MVP before. He can do it again. So, be ready for it. So that's my top 10 list. Go ahead, throw some darts.
I guess if you're thinking about standard leagues, because standard leagues you got to put Lamar in there, because standard leagues they account for running more quarterbacks and all that stuff. Kyler Murray the same way, but if it was me, Lamar got to come out. I mean, just hear me out.
Go ahead. No, it's your turn to talk. Go for it.
Just because of the fact that of the leagues we play in.
I play in a lot of leagues. So,
Just because of the leagues, the typical leagues I play in,
okay, there you go.
quarterbacks are way more dominant as far as passing. So me, from a fantasy standpoint, I look for more of a passing quarterback than I would somebody that. Think about it. Lamar's MVP year, he had 3,300 yards passing, 1,200 yards rushing. To me, most quarterbacks now, most elite quarterbacks are throwing for 4,000
Yeah,
yards,
you
and that's
should.
the that's
Yeah.
like the cutoff. So that's why I really can't. Now, if you're talking real NFL, then yes, all by all means, Lamar is one of the top 10. Yes, but fantasy wise, I can't put him there. Even Kyler Murray would be low on my list because I know what he can do with um with Hopkins
With Hopkins.
playing and with Hopkins not playing.
Yeah.
With Hopkins, he's good, but without Hopkins, and you can check the numbers.
Without
The
Hopkins,
last
it's gonna be a
it's,
challenge.
it's a challenge without Hopkins. That's all I'm saying. And he's small and he gets hurt a lot. And he don't know how to slide sometimes.
Yeah.
He gets hurt. He got a real bum ankle at times. That's my only grab. But everything else, I mean, I think Derek Carr is going to be awesome this year. I think, to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying that because you're a Raiders fan, but I think Derek Carr, coming off 4,800 last year, I think he can do 5,000 with the addition of Devontae Adams.
All right.
So that's just my 2 cents on it. Your list.
Welcome. I think I mentioned Catherine Richards asking what we think of the Falcons. They're not going to be good, but they've got some young talent that we saw in this preseason game, and I think there's some reason if you're a Falcons fan to be excited for the future. Not so much this year. Also, welcome Joseph Bracey to the show. Also hailing from the ATL, I think. Assuming that's who I think it is, or it could be his father, which would be in Virginia. I don't know, but welcome to the show either way. So that was our quarterback top 10. Running backs, we've got Jonathan Taylor at the top, and who doesn't have him at the top? Derrick Henry, number 2. Najee Harris, representing for the hour touch up. I love of Najee Harris. Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon made the list as the 6th. Alvin Kamara is apparently not going to serve a suspension this year, from what we hear, and so that definitely means he deserves to be in this top 10 list. Nick Chubb in Cleveland, Aaron Jones, and we had our biggest debate on what to do with this 10th spot. And so you'll see Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, question mark. So, hey, maybe you all in the audience can help us settle this debate on who belongs in the top 10.
It ain't Christian McCaffrey, I tell you that.
Uh-huh.
This is a guy who's played 10 games in the last
2 years.
2 years. He can't stay healthy. That's part of his problem. Granted, when he's on the field, he's good. I'm not taking that away from him. But the name of the game is what have you done for me lately? And he hasn't done
He
anything
has not done
lately.
a lot lately. No arguments
So,
from me there.
what I'm trying to figure out is how can you even put him in? I see the list where he's number 1 or 2. There's no way I am putting that much capital, that much draft capital in that one player when I know he's not going to play no more than 5 or 6 games, and then you're going to get burnt trying to find a backup running back. For me, it's Zeke. Zeke, for all the gripe that Zeke took last year, Zeke finished 11th in the NFL. I'm sorry, 7th in the NFL in rushing last year. And he played through injury.
Right.
He played through major injury, way more than Christian McCaffrey played through.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you're only as good as you are if you're on the field. And if you ain't on the field, you ain't doing no good for me. You got to be on the field. He out there in fights and camp. He need to be wrapped in a bubble somewhere and stop getting in fights. Stop it, bro. Sit down somewhere. I'm going Zeke.
And apparently, for some odd reason, My mom is agreeing with you. She has Ezekiel Elliott on her list as well, and both of y'all are wrong because one thing you can't. Hey, the last 2 years have not been kind to Christian McCaffrey as
Okay.
far as making it through a season. But if you go into the games that Christian McCaffrey has played, he has been a powerhouse for the few games he's played. And then if you look back to 2019, he had a monster season, and that's a long way to go back. to like you said, is what have you
What
done
have
for
you
me
done for
lately?
me
But
lately?
here's the thing: you can't go into the league solely depending on or guessing at injury because injuries they happened. Hey, who last year Derrick Henry ended up getting injured. He's never really had an injury issue. Injuries happen. Now here's the deal, and this is the truth. I'm gonna tell you, Ezekiel Elliott possibly isn't even the best running back on the Dallas Cowboys. Pollard, I think he's younger and he's coming. He's rated Ezekiel Elliott's rear view mirror. So if you ask me, hey, we had a draft. I didn't get either of these two players. So full disclosure, it's not like I had a chance to grab Christian McCaffrey and I didn't. Because and part of that is like you said because of that fear of the injury history. So given a player of equal or what I consider close to equal value and talent, I would pick, like, for instance, I would Najee Harris because I would much rather have Najee Harris than Christian McCaffrey. But if I'm going to compare Christian McCaffrey to Ezekiel Elliott, which is the comparison we're looking at right now, I go Christian McCaffrey all day because unless he gets hurt, there's no possible way Ezekiel Elliott ends up with a bigger fantasy production than Christian McCaffrey. You're basically just saying I'm picking Ezekiel Elliott because I think he's more likely to stay healthy. And for me, for my rankings, I'm not going to take it that far.
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey's lower in my rankings because of the injury thing, but he's not going to be as low as Ezekiel Elliott. Because again, Ezekiel Elliott's not the best running back on the Cowboys.
So I'm gonna ask you this question.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring up, and this is not about Zeke, but I'm gonna bring up
Okay.
two injury guys. So, what injury is harder to come back from? A broken foot or a sprained ankle?
Are we talking about within the same season?
Yes.
The foot is a
Okay.
bad injury,
Okay.
um, but they can put a plate potentially in your foot, and we've seen guys playing. The ankle is one of those bothersome things
Okay.
that you can't really get right. So
Okay. And
yeah,
the next question is: normally, a high ankle sprain injury is normally 4 to 6 weeks, right? A broken foot is out for the year.
not
So,
necessarily because we've seen people come back the same year they had a broken foot.
oh, that's my prime example.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry had a broken
yeah,
foot last year, week 9, week 8, I think, somewhere around there, and came back the same year.
yeah.
This guy had a high ankle sprain
Well,
and just, I'm just
when you
saying,
started the question though, you just said ankle sprain. You didn't say high ankle sprain, which
it
is
don't matter.
what
It's a,
the saying is
it's
a high ankle sprain is a low knee sprain. So it can
again,
that's kind of my logic for saying
but,
that ankle sprain, especially if it's a high ankle sprain, that's a
but
hard
we have
injury.
seen, but we have
But
seen
yeah,
Dalvin Cook come back from a high ankle sprain and play. My thing is this: if you really wanted to play, you would have played. That's all I'm saying. He gets hurt and don't want to play. So how can you sit here and take a guy? And I got another question. You have drafted Christian McCaffrey
yes,
not
it has
once,
not worked
but
out well.
and that's my next question.
Now,
How many times has he burned you?
two
Because
years in a row,
me knowing you, you have a do not draft list,
Christian
and that
McCaffrey
list
is
does
on my
this.
I don't draft list. But
Okay,
I
so
would draft him ahead, and the only question that matters is would I draft Christian McCaffrey above Ezekiel Elliott, and I
no,
100% would.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
So we gonna have a difference on that one.
we would never agree on that one.
We sure not. So
So let's look at your running back list, and you can tell us why Christian McCaffrey's not there.
okay. So on my list, I got Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, and Ezekiel Elliott. And I'm just saying it's the same list that we had basically from our combined list, and it's no Christian McCaffrey. So I'm just saying. That's what it is. These guys right now are healthier, they're better at this moment than Christian McCaffrey right now. And most of them have better quarterbacks at the helm right now than Christian McCaffrey. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, well, uh, I gotta say you're like I say we're not too far on these lists, and so looking at yours, I'm not mad at it. Your running back list is pretty good. I can't come to an agreement with you on the Christian McCaffrey one, but everywhere else on the list, I like. So let me hit my list real quick. It's Jonathan Taylor at the top, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook. Hey, that's your list.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm
I know my
messing
list
up.
is good. Don't worry about it.
I don't like your list.
All right.
Okay, I can't find my list. There it is. Here we go. I see it now. My list, the good
Still,
list,
still my list.
if I can get to it, is Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey at number 5, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, and I'm surprised my 10 spot didn't get on your list. Aaron Jones. We're both big Aaron Jones
Aaron
guys.
Jones is on my list.
Was he up there?
Yes, he is. Aaron Jones is number 9 on
Oh,
my
he
list.
is on your list. Okay.
Yeah,
So my bad. I don't
yeah,
know anything. So,
yeah.
but yeah, those
So
those those are running back. Like I said, our running back lists are very similar to each other. The only thing that you'll find that difference in, like we said, is we had huge disagreement on the running backs with that one. But either way, you can't go wrong unless you go Ezekiel Elliott over Christian McCaffrey.
okay. Okay. We just gonna agree to disagree on that one. I'll take that. So it's
All
fine.
right, let's hit these wide receivers.
So we got if I can find the list, Lord have mercy. We got Justin Jefferson, Cooper Cup, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Debo Sanders, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, and CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
So, out of this list, what's your take?
I'm going to say on this list, I really love Justin Jefferson, obviously, because his share of that offense, let me go back there. His share of that offense is going to be amazing. Cooper Cup, we just saw a year ago. I was surprised that you actually, we'll get to your list not too long from now. I was actually surprised you had Devontae Adams quite a bit higher than I had Devontae Adams, which got him in the top 3. But like I say, Derek Carr's going to have a MVP year, and it's all because he's not good. Derek Carr's more likely to get the MVP votes, but Devontae Adams is going to be the reason why. We had a small disagreement on the order, but we actually agreed almost completely on this wide receiver list. So it's not much debate here.
Nah, it's not.
I'm waiting for Shaq, our third man. He hasn't chimed in today because
Yeah.
I was expecting him to bring us to task on Mike Evans'
He made
placement.
the list. I
But he
mean,
made the
geez.
list, so
I
he's in
mean,
the
what
top
more does
10.
he want? He made the list. Come on, man. He can't give
Yeah.
us that much heat. Jeez.
Right, we did a good job with that one.
He
I
made the
gotta say
list.
he's on the list. So
I mean, jeez. The list is there. He made the
yeah.
list. Come on.
So you
I
want to
mean,
hit your personal list?
yeah, let's hit my list right quick.
All right.
Um, so my personal list is Devontae Adams at 1, Cooper Cup at 2, Justin Jefferson at 3, Jamar Chase at 4, Debo at 5, Stephon Diggs at 6, Tyreek Hill at 7, Mike Evans at 8, Keenan Allen at 9, CeeDee Lamb at 10. So we're pretty much dead on
Yeah.
honestly,
So
without list.
yeah, I go straight to mine, and it almost reads the same. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Cup, Jamar Chase. I have Devontae Adams in fourth, so that was the difference. Your guy Debo in five, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Tyreek Hill. And I've said this before as well. We're going to see for certain that Tyreek Hill is going to miss the offense of the he's going to miss the offense of the
Chiefs.
Chiefs quite a bit more than we're going to see the Chiefs missing him. So, but that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I think that we can expect to see some good. So I think Tariq Hill is still a good fantasy pick, a little bit lower in my top 10 than in our joint list, but still deserving to be there.
I mean, I actually think Devontae Adams
Yeah,
is still the best receiver in the league. I think when you talk about him in Las Vegas,
yeah,
he got double teamed quite a bit in Green Bay. He got even like a triple team quite a bit.
yeah,
Um, when you got a tight end and Waller coming across the middle or up top, when you got Hunter Renfro coming across the middle, Devontae Adams is gonna draw one of them. Got to draw a double team at some point. You gotta, and I have watched games when Waller has been double teamed and
yeah.
triple teamed and still got 10 receptions, 15 receptions, targeted 20 times. So I think him being getting single, he probably gonna get way more single coverage than he's ever seen in his life just because of the other two guys there. Jefferson, the targets that he gets is crazy.
Yeah,
So he's gonna get that. So by no means, I'm not taking nothing away from him. Jamar Chase,
yeah,
he has a great receiving core with two other guys. So I mean, it's all these guys are great. All of them, you can't take nothing away. I just think Devontae is just gonna. He's already great as it is, but he gonna have a lot of opportunities to be 1-on-1 instead of going up against these double teams. He had 169 targets last year,
yeah,
and the next Packer had 69.
yeah.
That's a big difference.
I,
So I'm saying,
yeah, I don't think he's gonna quite get that kind of a share with this Raiders offense. Not so far ahead of everybody else, but he's gonna be an amazing contribution to that
yeah,
team. That's why I think they're gonna be good. So I got confirmation. Joe Zabrasi is the second, not the third. So okay, welcome to the show. That's my uncle. Glad to have you here with us. Talking a little bit of football. Yeah, this leads list is pretty good. And like I said, I've got like this is the only list we didn't have really any debates on. So
mm.
I get that makes it open and clear. So the last thing we've got going are the tight ends.
That's the hardest list, Lord.
The question was
Jeez.
going to be, could we come up with
With
10
10 tight
tight ends
ends.
that are worth recommending? So
Jeez, so
that
Louise.
list is
Whew.
up there. We're ending with Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts in the fourth spot, Darren Waller, who we just talked about in the five, Dalton Schultz, T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goddard, and Zach Ertz, and bringing up the rear, go get Dawson Knox. He was touchdown dependent, but he had a really good year, and
Yeah.
potentially could do more this year.
Yeah. Obviously I like the top five.
Uh,
Top five, if you can get any one of those top five,
yeah,
you are really good. Good to go. Now the bottom five,
yeah,
a lot of them are touchdown dependent. Dallas Goddard might be the one out of that group.
uh,
Him and TJ Hawkinson could be the guys that could kind of leap. I ain't gonna say leap into that top five, but they can put up top five numbers some games. So
yeah. They're
Zach Ertz,
they're serviceable for
yeah, they should
certain
definitely.
weeks. They're not the like you said. They're not the every week whatever guys, but they're
Yeah,
definitely gonna have they're good games more than bad ones. So at tight end, and this was the mistake I made in our dynasty league, where
Yes, you did.
I waited a tad bit too long on tight ends because I was expecting I could get one of these back end guys. Turns out that was not the case. So, but it is what it is. But
I mean,
but if you can get one of those back end guys, you're not gonna have the leader, but you've got somebody that you can at least rely on. The good things, like you said, there's only really five really good
yeah.
tight ends, and so if you're in a 10 or a 12 team league, half the league isn't gonna have those guys. So you're not by yourself if you don't have an elite tight end.
I mean, you might have to go. I will say this: you might have to go early for
Yeah,
those top five guys. But thinking about it in this way, those top five guys are basically like receivers
yeah,
in a sense.
especially
So
Travis Kelsey. He puts up
yeah,
receiver
yeah.
numbers every year.
Travis Kelsey, especially Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is really a receiver. He just plays tight end. So you getting like if you're in a league where you can run three receivers, you're getting literally a fourth receiver that you can put out there that can put up similar numbers. So Darren Waller's another one. I mean, Pitts had 1,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, Pitts is the only thing they got out there anyway. So they get who else are they throwing to? And Kittle's blocks a lot, but Kittle still gets the 900, 950, 6 touchdowns. So he's still up there with him. So I think he'll do 1,000 this year, though, personally. But I think this list is good. Dots and knots, he's too.
By the time you get to your 10th tight end,
Yeah, Zach Ertz does Zach Ertz make an impact in his first 6 games, being that Hopkins is not there?
With Hopkins out, I think Ertz is going to be nice. He and Rashad Bateman, not Rashad Bateman. I mean, Hollywood Brown should have a really good first half of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So you saying basically you can wait if to get a Zach Ertz for
don't wait as long as I did, but yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got you. Yeah, please don't wait as long as he did.
Yeah.
He waited forever, y'all. He kept talking about it. Talking about we're going to get a tight end.
Man, your personal list is up. Tell us.
My personal list is the same. Honestly, is my personal list up here? Dude, I ain't got no personal list.
Of course you do. That's
It's not.
I helped you out. You've got Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey.
Sorry. I got it. I got Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey, George Kittle, Dan Waller, Kyle Pitts, Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert, T.J. Hockenson, Dawson Knox, and Zach Ertz. So basically, it's the same list. It's just the names are moved to different areas. That's all. Different numbers. That's all. But
yeah,
it's cool. It's a good list.
My list is slightly different. You will see a name that you didn't see before. I've got Travis Kelsey at the top of my list, and I know I'm right because Travis Kelsey has his own cereal. What's up, Justin? I see you in the room. If you're in the Kansas City area, go ahead to Hy-Vee, get yourself some Kelsey's Crunch because he's the only, and I repeat, the only tight end who's had 6 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and he's gonna do it again this year. So without Tyreek Hill, Kelsey's gonna have a fun. He's the old guy in the tight end room, but he's still the effective guy, and he's going to run the show. But Mark Andrews was pretty good last year too, so I have him to George Kittle. If he can stay healthy, is gonna be. He's always good when he's healthy. It's just a problem being healthy. But I think this should be a good healthy year for him. Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller has me slightly concerned because he's been hitting the injury bug a lot. In fact, they're trying to get him to practicing regular now, which has been a problem. We've got Dalton Schultz, who I think is going to have a breakout year. Hockenson, Ertz, Goddard, and the different name on our list is Pat Fryermuth, the young guy with the Steelers. And like I said, there's so much love about that Steelers team. And the biggest thing about them is they've got a lot of young guys. So I expect really good things from that team altogether. So that completes our top 10 list. Justin Askew, Kansas City in last seed.
Yes. I'm not changing my stance, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not changing. I'm not changing my stance. I'm sorry.
No matter how wrong you are, you're gonna
I'm
keep
not gonna
going with
change it.
it. Um,
I'm rolling with it.
I'm gonna let the audience in on a private conversation. What do you think about Juju Smith-Schuster?
He's showing up a little bit, but I still don't think that makes much of a difference. I still think they're gonna finish last. It's not gonna change anything. You can't bring our private conversations up here either. I mean,
The
jeez.
audience needs to know. The audience needs to know that Juju Smith-Schuster's looking pretty good
He
so far.
is.
That
I
offense,
ain't gonna,
that offense, I'm telling you, is not gonna miss. I mean, Tyreek Hill's obviously really good.
yeah.
Justin said he would actually take Waller over Kittle still. I wouldn't be mad at that.
If Will,
But
if Waller can stay on the field,
and that's my issue with Waller. If he can stay on the field, he didn't
hey,
have a great year that last year.
I mean,
Um,
he missed a bunch of games. We ain't talking 2-3. He missed like,
I think he only played
woo.
like 11 games last year, if I remember off the top of my head. And that's the thing that worries me about Darren Waller.
Yeah,
But you know, eh.
ain't nobody hating on Juju, man.
You hating?
I just said Juju is not a number one receiver. That's all I said. He's not. He needs somebody on the other end, and he got Kelsey, which I give you that.
Yeah.
But still,
Hey,
Juju been hurt too. He get hurt a lot too.
yeah, he has. So hey, we're only a few weeks away from this thing playing out. Question: Is Derrick Henry number 2 at PPR or standard? For me, either one,
Either
because
one.
because he gets so
Either
much
one.
of the obvious would be in standard and not PPR. But the thing about Derrick Henry is he gets so much of a share of that
Yep.
offense that he overcomes the fact that he doesn't catch out of the backfield. Because when you're getting like 30 plus carries a game, it don't matter if you catch the ball or not. He produces.
Derrick Henry had more points in the standard league last year
Yeah.
than any. The 8 games he played, he had more points
Yeah.
than any running back in the standard league by like 30 points, and he doesn't catch out the backfield. So he's a 2 in PPR or standard, either one you look at it for
Yeah.
real.
Derrick Henry's just Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I'm not.
Uh,
I told you, I'm never going against Derrick Henry
yeah,
again in my
we
life.
used to use that Derrick Henry doesn't catch out the
Catch out the
backfield thing.
backfield. We don't do that anymore
Neither
on
one
this
of us
show.
says that anymore because he's proven he's
He's
that
proved
good.
us wrong every
Like, if
time.
he doesn't catch a single pass, he's gonna run for enough to justify drafting him early. I haven't seen the quarterback list.
It's on the side. It's
How do we
scrolling.
have? Well, I guess you said how do we have Josh Allen above? She said 7 times Super Bowl champ.
Tom Brady?
Because Tom Brady. Why do we have? Because Josh Allen is really good, and what Josh Allen brings you is not just someone who's gonna potentially lead the league in passing or be very close to the top, but he's also going to give you rushing yards and he's going to give you rushing touchdowns because until shown differently, running backs don't really exist in Buffalo. Maybe James Cook changes that, but until otherwise, I'm going to say you get a lot with Josh Allen that you don't get with Tom. Now, down Tom Brady for the last couple of years, whoosh.
Now I
Even
will
at his
say
age,
this:
he's been
he,
pretty good.
He's led.
He's
He finished number 3,
yeah.
and he finished above Josh
Yeah.
Allen last year in fantasy at
Depending on
number
your
3.
league, though.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
in
And that-
standard leagues too. He
Yeah.
finished number 3
Go ahead.
above. He finished number 3 above Josh Allen in standard leagues, and he finished number 1 in PP. In like a quarterback PPR league, he finished number 1 because of yards and touchdowns and all that stuff. So, I mean, she got a right there, but Josh Allen just gives you that running, which Tom is not going to run. But if you add both his yards running and passing, they equal about the same. And I think he had more touchdowns than Josh Allen. But
Plus,
I mean-
you got to figure at some point, age is got to hit Tom Brady on the shoulder and say, "Oh, slow down a little bit. And like I said, I'm a little bit not overly concerned, but I'm still a little bit concerned about Tom Brady this year because I'm not sure he's 100%. And Tom Brady is on the list.
He's on the list, yeah.
Yeah. I bring it up so you can take a closer look at it. You'll see Tom Brady right there at the 5 spot for our combined list. Yes.
Yeah, he up there.
Yeah.
He's been strolling through for the last hour.
We don't completely disrespect the 7-time champ. Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
no, he's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't criticize Lamar Jackson for running. Hey, it's good as long as you can do it. But what Josh Allen has been able to do that we haven't quite seen from Lamar Jackson is the ability to throw for 4,000 plus yards in a season. Lamar Jackson give you the 1,000 yards running, but his
he don't
his passing has been leaving something to be desired. However, bold prediction coming. Bold prediction coming.
Ooh,
I can't wait for the bold prediction show. I got some stuff coming.
I know you got some. Yeah. I mean, you didn't reach many last year. I don't think I reached none either. So it's not.
I got one mostly. Yeah, I was right about the Raiders having a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Yeah. It wasn't the guy I was expecting to do it, but I think I missed everything else.
I missed everything else too. I missed all of mine. So that's I just went Super Bowl.
You were too bold.
I went too bold. I was like, forget it. So it's good.
Well, yeah,
ooh, that's an insult, man.
Oh, Mark Brunell.
Wow.
Mark Brunell was really good, but
Josh Allen is a little better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but calling someone Mark Brunell isn't an insult. Brunell was really good in his day, but I think Josh Allen might. But he has to do it over a lengthy period. But I think Josh Allen will probably achieve a little bit more than Mark Brunell. But that's it. I think
that's it.
We've gone through our list. We've talked our preseason games. Any preseason games you're looking forward to? Are you looking forward to the Bears Seahawks tomorrow?
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. I mean, it's football. I want to see what Justin Fields do. I'm really interested to see how he bounces. He played
all right. Not
but
great.
I want to see.
But he played all right last
I want to see what he do because I think that O-line is just horrible. They're never gonna block for him, and I just want to see what he's gonna do as far as because he might be on my list to draft as far as one of my quarterbacks. So I just want to check him out, see what he do.
Any other preseason games?
No, I'm just gonna watch, man. I'm gonna watch and see what happens and just have fun. Ain't none of the starters playing anyway.
I know that's the only thing that's kind of about it. It's like the guys you really want to see, you're gonna end up having to wait for the regular season,
and they might not play at all until the regular season. So who knows? But that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. We appreciate the questions. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate you hitting that like button. If you haven't already done so, please do like and subscribe. Follow us on social media with any other questions you have. Hit us up in the comments and the chats. We'd be glad to communicate back with you. And good luck with your drafting.
And we here and we ain't going nowhere. That's it.
All right. See you guys here next week. Peace out.